Jeremy Corbyn has insisted that Labour will continue to be the resistance to Boris Johnson's government as Nicola Sturgeon pledges her administration to do everything possible to mitigate the worst impacts of Brexit. The party leader's New Year messages come after a politically tumultuous year with the prospect of another dramatic 12 months ahead as Labour chooses a new leader. The Prime Minister presses ahead with Brexit, seeking a swift trade deal with the EU, and the First Minister continues to argue for Holyrood to have the right to hold another vote on Scotland's future. In his message, Mr Corbyn makes no reference to his party's defeat in the general election or his departure from the leadership despite announcing he will step down early next year. The party leader insists not just the year but the decade ahead will be crucial to stop irreversible climate damage and halt the pain plaguing Britain, mentioning food banks, poverty and protecting the NHS. We are the resistance to Boris Johnson. We will be campaigning every day. We will be on the front line, both in Parliament and on the streets. Ms Sturgeon points out how Scotland, and Glasgow in particular, will be at the centre of international attention next year with the staging of the 26th Colombian Pesos Climate Change Conference. It will give Scotland a chance to show that we are leading by example, not just by reducing our greenhouse gas emissions but by doing so in a way that helps to build a fairer, healthier and happier society. The FM notes how leaving the EU against the wishes of most Scots will be a source of deep regret for many of us. She goes on, in the year ahead, the Scottish Government will do everything we can to mitigate the worst impacts of Brexit. We will provide support and reassurance for the EU citizens who have done us the honour of choosing to make Scotland their home. And we will work to ensure that people in Scotland have the chance to determine our own future by deciding whether we wish to become an independent country. Mr Johnson is expected to release his New Year message on Tuesday, but his colleague, Jackson Carlaw, the acting leader of the Scottish Conservatives, speaks of his optimism the UK can move on from a decade of division and also seeks to reassure EU citizens living in Scotland. We may be leaving the institutions of the European Union at the end of the month, but the UK and Europe remain united by our shared continent. This is your home and we want you to stay. He adds, the fallout from the referendum result has created huge tensions across the country. I hope that, once we have left Brussels at the end of this month, those tensions will dissipate and we can come back together. Sir Ed Davey, the acting leader of the Liberal Democrats, says the election was deeply depressing on several levels. For more on this story, visit the news article link.